no harm, as it was very mild. I've taken it, as if waiting for sleep, which still keeps aloof. I hope I have not done wrong, or as sleep begins to flirt with me, new fear comes. But I may have been foolish in thus depriving myself of the power of waking. I might want it. Here comes sleep. Night.
I just saw something really disturbing on social media of this guy's towel, you know, that you dry off with after a shower, took it off the hook and it didn't move. Like it's like it had been molded out of plastic. Molded. I need to not be in this world, because this world has men who don't wash their freaking towels, and that actually gives me the real heebie-jeebies. So I need to escape somewhere else. So readathon time. Readathon time it is. Oh God. Okay, it's kind of late, but I finally finished, and that's good because I only have 3 days left. Yeah, technically I have one more book that I was going to try to work on, but I'm currently only at, I think, 10 or 11% through the book. It's an ebook, and it hasn't really captured my attention. It's been really hard to read so far. So I'm not holding out hope for that one. I really don't think I can pull that off in the next 3 days. I'll make a valiant effort, but I'm calling it here and now. I think this is it for the Novice Path for me. Still a pretty good run. That's 4 books. So I want to very quickly, rapidly go through some reviews of these books. So the very first book I did was actually for the entrance. It was a book that has a map in it, and for that I did deal with the Elf King. Now, this book really shocked me. I actually initially took it on because it was recommended so heavily on Book Talk, and I was curious, but it was romance, so I automatically assumed it was going to be bad. It was really good, actually. The thing was, I haven't read a book with relationships that were that good and non-toxic in a while. Like, they were really good, well-done relationships. And the heroine, she had boundaries and made everyone aware of them. And I don't think I've read that in a long, long time in a character. She was an actually strong lead character, which was shocking. There were still some little bits of cringe, like characters with streaks in their hair. It was very original character, DeviantArt era kind of cringe stuff. But how the world operated, the magic in the world, the general setup of the world itself actually was pretty well done. It was very engaging and it was really good. And like I said, the interactions between the characters, including between the female characters, was solid actually, and I really appreciated it. So 4 out of 5. I actually recommend it, and I think this is the first romance book I have recommended ever, because usually they're horrible, but this one was actually good. So I will say there's a little bit to be said about why we automatically assume romance books are going to be cringy, but yet we don't do that with other genres, despite the fact that other genres have just as much toxic traits in their relationships as bad romances do. There's some prejudice there. I didn't expect to need to self-reflect on that in this challenge, but I did self-reflect a wee bit. For the next challenge, which was the Ash Torn Tree, I went ahead and took on a book that was at the top of my to-be-read, which was The Diary Succession of Lies. Now, that one is actually by an author tuber, and okay, so I found it an interesting read in some ways. However, I'm struggling whether or not I should do a review, the One Author to Another series, with this book, because this book either had no editing whatsoever or it was very poorly edited, and I can't tell which. I guess I could pull up the book, see if there's any credits for an editor. I pray that the author didn't pay an editor, because this author should get her money back. There are entire sentences with extreme misspellings, really bad grammatical mistakes. There was one sentence I had to reread about 10 times to understand what they were getting at, because it was so hard to read. So yeah, there's also, there's toxic relationship stuff that's passed off as true love, which is yikes for me. There's also an essay. Warning, there's an essay. I had to glance over it because it was really it was a lot. And it's kind of used to force the main character forward, and I felt really uncomfortable with that. I'm debating whether or not to even do a review, just simply because the editing was so poor. I kind of feel like I shouldn't be judging it on the same level as the other books I've done in the series, because the other books in the series had editors, and I can't tell if this book has had an editor or not touch it. So but at the same time, I paid money for the book, so I feel like I should review it, because if you pay money for an item, it should be professionally done. I'm debating that one. But moving on to a little bit nicer ground, well, sort of. I also listened to an Audible of Dracula this month. So this was the Audible original Dracula that one of the actors is Tim Curry. And the whole cast was amazing, actually. From an audiobook perspective, it was a very enjoyable experience. I really liked having that ambiance around this time of year. But I had forgotten just how insanely sexist the original text Dracula is. I had read it back in early college days, and I knew it was bad, but I had forgotten how bad. It's yikes. And not only that, but it also brought up a little bit of religious trauma, because there's also a lot of just excusing and victim blaming and victim shaming and some horrible stuff said in these long rants about God's grace. And it, in the same sentence, they'd be like, God is good, God is grace, and then the next sentence be and poor Nina, who never did anything wrong, the sweet soul, is thrust from God's presence. Oh. Side Up did not like hearing about this. It's triggering, right? yeah, anyway. Right, but the overall experience was good. Like, it's a classic. It's a classic for a reason. There are some actually unnerving parts of the book. It's horror for a reason, classic horror. It's a very good audiobook version of that classic. So if you're interested in listening to a classic, I do think it was very well performed. And then we've got this. And this was my 5-star prediction book. Yeah. It's 5-star. And I don't say that about very many books. A lot of, because in order for me to have a book that's 5-star, it has to be not only something I recommend, but something I like actively recommend. Something that I'm like, this is like super good. This is a really, really, really good book. Now, I will say that it's on the lower part of 5-star because I have some books that are 5-star and they're like holy grail status. This is not quite there, but it is quite close. It is a very solid 5-star, but it's not like top tier, like perfect tier. Perfect tier would be things like Half World and Skeleton Man. But this one is still really good. It's a 5-star for sure. I really enjoyed it. It was great. The only thing I'm kind of not happy with is it was a cliffhanger. It's a complete and total cliffhanger. You have to get the second book to complete it. I thought it was going to be one of those books that you could kind of have as a standalone. No. You have to read the next book in the series to conclude the whole story. So yeah. I had a bad feeling that was going to happen because I was getting within the last couple pages and something horrible happened and I was like, wait, how are they going to wrap all of this up in like 5 pages? They don't. They don't. So that's for book 2. So I know what I'm reading next month. So there you guys go. Special thanks to BookRoast for creating this really cool readathon. It's been a long time since I've read books simply for fun and for no other reason. Like, yeah, I'm giving you guys like a little, my impressions right here at the video, but this isn't a full review. I didn't read this to do a review. I read it for the joy of reading it. And being able to do that for a month was really, really nice. Yes, one of the books might get a review, but it also might not. So the majority of this month was just reading for fun and re-exploring that and falling in love with reading again, just as I'm falling in love with writing again. And it was a really good experience. And the whole D&D aspect just makes it really fun in general. And yeah, I've really loved this experience. I really look forward to the next challenges next year. I look forward to seeing what BookRoast comes up with, even though I might be moving at that time, so that might be tricky to manage, but I'm going to do my best. Let me know what you guys are reading and if you're liking it. Did you have some 5-star predictions lately? Were they true? Were they not? Oh, speaking of failed 5-star predictions, I did have a failure. We Hunt the Flame. Real quick, I had the Audible of that. Absolutely hated it. The narration would just, like, the narrator would actually yell when characters were yelling, which would mean I was turning volume up and down. It was atrocious. In addition to that, I was only through, like, chapter 5, and I noticed that the male main character and the female main character are the same person, just with their genders flipped. The whole world was also more important than the characters. Like, the world building was really intensive, and I can describe to you the world, which was vivid, but I can't describe to you the characters other than pretentious. And that's not good. Like, I can't tell you about any of the characters. I can just tell you they're pretentious, and that's literally all I can say about them. I can't tell you any other information because there is no other information to be given. I don't know how that's possible, but the characters are like a void. It was really strange. I was severely disappointed, and I definitely am not the only one who's had problems with it. I actually looked up some reviews to see if it smooths out later and if there was hope. No. So actually, that is the only Audible I have returned. I returned that Audible and got my credit back because it was so bad. So, yeah. Personally, I can't, in good consciousness, recommend that book, which is a shame. But, yeah. Anyway, I'm glad the second book that was my 5-star prediction actually was good because, but But thank you guys for watching, though. Thank you guys for reading with me and catching up. This has been fun. It's been fun. Are my lights still working? Are my lights even on? Yeah, my lights are on. I can't tell from here. Anyway.